A symphony in full song is many things. Racing, too, is a symphony. One of color, speed, and daring. Like great music, it stirs the soul. It's led by the great masters. And as with any performance, it is carefully planned and executed. An intricate combination of skills. The great artists each add their special moment to the play. The greatest appear casual even at the most difficult parts. The maestro controls the elements of the score, just as the drivers conduct the combined play of many. Beauty, splendor, grace, and a never-ending quest for excellence. All of these things are embodied in the PPG IndyCar World Series, which today performs among the Rocky Mountains in Denver. The Texaco Haviland Grand Prix is a symphony about to begin. With the Rocky Mountains as a backdrop, the Indy cars are ready to race in downtown Denver, Colorado, in a circuit that passes right in front of the State House. Hello and welcome to the Mile High City. I'm Paul Page. Last time we saw the Indy cars was on the Superspeedway at Michigan International. Now this is a tight, temporary circuit right in the center of the city. And as we come here, we have a most interesting points fight. Now remember, there are 21 points available in this race, 20 to the winner and 1 for leading the most laps. As we take a look at the points, we see that Bobby Rahal is way out in front. In fact, even if he doesn't finish in the numbers today, he can't be headed in the points fight. But Michael Andretti is most definitely on a charge. And Sam Posey, he is without question the focus of this event.
Yes, he is. On Friday, it was announced that he had signed for another year in the IndyCar competitions, thus ending the possibility that he might make the jump to Formula One. Now, when this happened with Al Unser Jr. last year, when he made a similar decision, Al then went on to win 4 consecutive races and wrap up the championship. Will this happen with Michael this year? It's hard to say, but yesterday he put together one of the best qualifying laps he has ever had in his career and took a point away from his arch rival Bobby Rahal.
Well, the circuit here is 16 turns, 1.9 miles. Bobby Unser, as I mentioned, the city's a mile high.
Well, Denver is over 5,000 feet high in altitude, Paul, higher than any race that we run. The density altitude, which is the combination of high temperature plus the altitude, is approximately 8,000 feet today. Now, this means cooling problems with the water, the oil, and especially the brakes. The mechanics have had to increase the cooling capabilities approximately 15%. And remember, most of the drivers come from sea level. This could be a big factor in the race today because the altitude will get to the drivers too.
Well, the engines have already been started. In fact, the first of 3 parade laps have been complete, and the cars are ready to race here at Denver. So let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole, Michael Andretti, he's won 4 of the last 7 races. And Bobby Rahal, the current points leader. The second row, Al Unser Jr., the winner of this race last year. And Emerson Fittipaldi, who won on the streets of Detroit in June. The third row, Mario Andretti, who just signed a new 2-year contract with Newman Haas. And Eddie Cheever, his best starting spot since the season opener. The fourth row, Arie Luyendyk, who won at Phoenix in April, and Rick Mears. He swept both 500-milers this year. The fifth row, Scott Pruitt, his 8th top 10 start this season, and Danny Sullivan, who ran second here a year ago. In the 6th row, Scott Goodyear, the talented young Canadian, and John Andretti, the winner of the first race in Australia in March. The 7th row, Willie T. Ribbs is back, his best starting position this year, and Roberto Guerrero as well, driving for drag racer Kenny Bernstein. In the 8th row, it's Scott Brayton. He has 4 straight top 10 finishes, and Buddy Lazier from nearby Vail, Colorado. The 9th row, Didier Tays, making his 6th start this year, and Jeff Andretti, the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year honors. In the 10th row, Ted Prappis, a freshman out of Los Angeles, and Tony Bettenhausen, who ran a strong 5th 3 weeks ago at Michigan. The 11th row, Hiro Matsushita, sophomore from Japan, and Jeff Wood making his 4th 1991 start. In the final row, Randy Lewis, a veteran from Hillsborough, California, and John Jones from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. That's your lineup, the starting field, as we're ready to race here in the downtown Denver, Colorado. The main straightaway, the start-finish line, is right in front of the state capitol building. A most scenic course, not particularly fast, but very challenging for these drivers of the IndyCars. Johnny Rutherford handles the PPG pace car in front of the starting field. Now, this is the pit area. You can see the State House in the background. The pits are actually removed from the start-finish line. They're around the corner just before the last turn. So a very different circuit, and add to that, the pits here are also curved. In fact, a double S-curve creates the pits here in Denver, Colorado. So the field working its way now, in fact, past the pit area, under several of the overpasses created here, and the pole sitter, Michael Andretti, will bring the field to the line. You're on board with Michael's brother, Jeff Andretti. We'll be following his progress throughout this run as well. The final turn. Michael Andretti and Bobby Rahal sit in the front row. The green flag comes out from Nick Finoro. And Michael Andretti takes a nice protected line into the first turn. Rahal comes up to challenge. It looks like Mario Andretti got bumped. He definitely got against the wall as the yellow flags come out. Also, Emerson Fittipaldi, it appears, is in there, as is Arie Luyendyk.
A minimum of 5 cars affected by this. A minimum of 5 cars.
It was hard to tell. It was Rick Mears that is sitting there alone, not started, on board now.
We're looking from the cockpit of Mario Andretti, so we can try to assess right away whether he suffered any suspension damage. Bobby, the car looks pretty clean.
Yes, it does, Sam, but you know, it's the biggest strung out field, or the longest I've seen the field strung out at the start that I've ever seen. So the guys just weren't ready. Now, he definitely got something. His right front tire, suspension is bent. You can see the wheel go down there, locked up. He just couldn't turn.
Notice, of course, that was the replay, the flat spot on the right front tire of Mario Andretti.
Well, Mario definitely saw something. Let's focus on his cards. Third back in that line on the left row. Mario Andretti was looking at something. Apparently, he saw the move by Cheever. Yes, Cheever came over to the right, and Mario yanked the car away, locked the brakes immediately because it put him on course with the wall. If he'd only had a foot or two more, he would have been fine. Cheever, Fittipaldi all got through, and then Rick Mears stacked into the back of Luyendyk. The rest of the field got through, but as Bobby Unser has pointed out, there is really a question about whether or not Mario can continue. Bobby Unser, let's watch again in slow motion. Here's regular speed. There's Mario.
Now you can see Paul, he just locked the brakes really hard and fast. You can see the flat spot on the right front tire. He bumped the wall, but ironically, he didn't hit it very hard. Not as hard from the slow speed as it looked like in the beginning.
I didn't see anything obviously bent there. We'll certainly check on Mario Andretti. Arie Luyendyk is getting a little help from the kart safety team, and the race is under a full course yellow, brought out right in the... Under full course yellow, the field continues to circle around as a result of Mario Andretti's accident on the very first lap. Let's go down to the pits, get an update from Gary Gerald.
Paul, a couple of things we need to address early. This race is 10 laps shorter than it was a year ago in the inaugural version. CART has dictated that this must be a 2-pit stop race, even though at the shorter distance the teams could conceivably make this in 1 stop. A mandatory second stop must be made. You must change at least 1 tire or hook up your fueling equipment. Now, with that little incident on the first lap, Rick Mears has already been in the pits. Eddie Cheever has been in the pits. There was no damage that we could see. They got back out, but they've taken care of 1 of 2 mandatory pit stops. While it wasn't a popular ruling with all the teams, we think that most of the teams will take advantage of that second stop to get fresh tires, because tire wear is a consideration. And for more on that, let's go further up pit road to our colleague, Jack Arute.